In this video, we're going to learn how to convert between degrees and radians to degrees. So if you have a measurement in radians and you'd prefer to see what it would be in degrees, you can do that and vice versa. So let's talk about, first of all, going from degrees to radians. So you have a number of degrees that are given to you. So let's say we have 240 degrees, because we already know what that is from our unit circle. So if I have 240 degrees and I want to get to radians, I need to find a conversion factor that's going to have degrees and radians that are the same measurement. So if I think back to my unit circle, I know that pi is 180 degrees. Now remember that that little symbol, that little circle, is the shorthand way to write degrees. So that's your units. If I want to get rid of 240 degrees, I'm going to put 180 degrees on the bottom and pi radians in the top. Now usually we don't write the radians unit on there. It's understood that if you're not in degrees, you're in radians, although there is another measurement called gradients that you can use, but we're not going to do anything with those. So if I have 240 degrees, and we're going to put that over 1, times pi over 180 degrees, just multiplying across the top, I get 240 degrees times pi over, multiply the bottoms, 180 degrees. Now, first thing I can do is I could cancel out the degrees, because those are the same units. Then I have 240 over 180. I can also divide both of those by 10 and get to 24 over 18. And then I can also go ahead and realize that both of those numbers are divisible by 6. So if I divide 6 into both of those, I get 6, or 4 pi, or 6. 6 goes into 24 4 times. So I get 4 pi over 6 into 18 is 3. So 240 degrees is the same thing as 4 pi over 3. Okay, let's do one more of those. So let's say we had negative 570 degrees. So I'm going to put that over 1. My conversion factor is pi over 180. Now I'm going to go ahead and cancel out the degrees. Then they are both divisible by 10, so I can cancel out the zeros. And that gives me negative 57 pi over 18. And if I look at that, both of those have a common factor of a 3. So if I take a 3 out, I'm going to get negative 19 pi over 6. Now let's go back and reverse this, and in this example we did degrees to radians, so now let's do radians to degrees. So let's say that I had 7 pi over 9. Now you don't have to just have pi over 3s, pi over 6s, and pi over 4s. So let's say I want 7 pi over 9, and that's again in radians. And I want to change that to degrees. So this time my conversion factor is pi radians on the bottom and 180 degrees on the top. So then I'm going to cancel out the pi's. And then I could multiply across the top and get 7 times 180, which is 1260 over 9. And as it turns out, 1260 will divide by 9 and give you 140 degrees. Or a little easier way to do that would have been to cancel out here between the 9 and the 180. 9 goes into 9, 1. 9 goes into 180, 20. And then I could just multiply across the tops and get 7 times 20, which was 140 degrees. All right, let's try one more of those. Let's say we have negative 15 pi over, let's say 14. And I want to convert that over to degrees. So we have 180 degrees on the top, pi radians on the bottom. The pi's cancel. Again, I could do 15 times 180. Or I could see if something will divide into 180 and 14, which is going to for sure be a 2. So let's take a 2 out of these. That's going to be a 7. 2 is going to go into 180 90 times. And now I can multiply across the top and get 15 times 90, which is 1,350 over 7, and then I can divide that at the end and get that that is 192.9, and we'll just round to the nearest 10th degrees. And later on in a video, later in the week, we'll start looking at how to convert that to other measurements besides just degrees, because there are other things you can measure in more accurate than to the nearest degree.